If you want to win your 2026 fantasy baseball season, make sure you follow these draft strategies. We'll get right into this, Josh. I think, draft season is rapidly approaching. We got spring training coming up, World Baseball coming up. A lot of stuff that's going to be interesting. And draft season is obviously one of the most important aspects of your fantasy baseball season. So without further ado, I think one of my biggest stress points I like to argue and tell people is to balance your team between young prospects and old veteran proven players. Because if you go too hard on one of those two options, your team's gonna either fail in one of the options. If you go way too prospect heavy, there's a very high likelihood not every single prospect is gonna pan out. So you're gonna have to be making a lot of moves in the middle of your season. And on the other side, if you go too veteran heavy, you don't have that upside that a prospect can give you because you already know what these players are. It's a very rare, very, very rare we get someone like George Springer of last year who, falls off and then randomly has a resurgence here. And, he was such a late draft pick. So I think getting that good balance, maybe you take someone like Connor Griffin early and you balance out your shortstop position with someone like Francisco Lindor earlier in the draft. So you have a shortstop and you're not investing all of these pieces into a Connor Griffin, J.J. Weatherholt, Nolan McLean, and you just it could definitely bite you in the ass.
100%. And I mean, that is probably the biggest part about building your draft is just having a good foundation, whether it be with a mix of good players or just a mix of just players that will get the job done. Especially like starting the first 3 picks, it's hard to not go with obviously like the best player available.
Yep.
Especially the first 36, you can't really go wrong. I tend to usually go batter heavy, especially in the beginning. The first 3 rounds, it's usually to get my infield set and make sure that the premier positions are kind of good, because it's like we've always said, the second base options there's not a lot. There's probably about 10-15 guys that you're like, he can probably end up as a top 3, but it's very shallow. So it's you want to start off with the positions that you think are really weak and then just make sure that you can build off that. I usually tend to go pitchers is kind of mid-round, because I feel like pitchers can really they can have a bad season. If you pick somebody, obviously not like the aces like Skeens, Skubal, Crochet, they will pretty much have good seasons year round. But if you go with a Christopher Sanchez, who had a great season last year but is going around 28, 29, he could get rocked.
There's some risk. He's really only had one full great year, so who knows? He's still gonna be a great player, probably. But in pitchers in general just have a lot more volatility in terms of getting injured more frequently. So I tend to also go batters early, unless someone crazy like Skeens falls to me in the 3rd round or something. I will for sure take him, but that really should not happen in any of your drafts. But I definitely agree with that. Balancing your team, if that's rookies, prospects, pitchers, hitters, you don't want to invest all into one side, and then it's a balance. It's pretty easy. So Josh, the big game is finally here, and anyone watching, if you want to get in on the action, you already know that we are using Underdog. It's super simple. You just pick higher or lower on 2 or more stats like touchdowns, receptions, and more, and you can win up to 5,000x your entry. And it's not just football. Underdog has a ton of sports. You name it, Underdog has it. For the big game, Underdog's hooking it up with a big reveal. Just choose your player and see if you get a gimme pick. I've already locked in our picks for the game. You can see them on the screen now. Underdog's available in most states, including Texas, California, and Florida. New customers get $75 in bonus entries when they play, just $5 to get started. Just use code 9PENNANCE when you sign up and it will load instantly. Underdog, make picks, win money with code 9PENNANCE.
You also can't be that guy that takes all of the draft time.
Yeah,
be ready.
Be that guy.
Be ready.
Be that guy.
Have about 3 or 4 players that you're okay, if they take this guy at short, I have a backup. I know who I'm going for. This is because realistically, the draft is not the end all be all of your fantasy season, and we can all rest that case on that. You have to be monitoring basically all of the waiver wires right after that. It's very important to have a good foundation going into your season, but it's not something that you can just draft and let go of, because you really have to make sure that you take care of that roster.
If you're someone who's this is your first, second year of fantasy baseball, you don't really fully understand it yet, but you're familiar with fantasy football. Fantasy football, the draft is everything. That's kind of your team, and like that, that's going to be your team. You might get lucky to get the 1 or 2 waiver wire guys all year. But fantasy baseball, as important the draft is, I think the waiver wire is just as important, if not more important, because there's going to be 2 or 3 guys on your team at least you're going to have to just cut. It just naturally happens. People don't pan out, they get hurt, something happens, and you're going to have to pivot and pick somebody up. And I think one of the better things that I can stress is subscribing to our channel, because we're going to be releasing waiver wire videos every week of top people to be looking at, rookies coming up, pitchers who are hot, batters that are hot, and staying on top of your information if you're really trying to take it serious is going to be the way you get that edge over your league mates.
100%. And that's actually one of the notes that I do have on there is don't get too attached to players, because if you have a guy that's putting up negatives, that's what we're trying to avoid here. 100% avoid the negatives. If you have a stud pitcher that is just not looking hot in the beginning, it's pretty easy to cut ties with them. So I think that's the same way that you should have your lineup. Your lineup, you should not get attached to anybody. Don't be a homer. It's tough. If I see Cody Bellinger have a crappy season next year and he's on my team, I'm going to hate to say that he has to go, but he will go. And so will my name probably.
For sure, busting bellies. I never have had Mike Trout, and I've played fantasy baseball since 2015, 2016, and I took him for the first time last year, and it was definitely a heartbreak having him finally, and he's not the same anymore, but that's unfortunately the way the road goes. And I'm gonna kind of take this over into my next point is the Angels are a bad team, and I was relying on Trout. Their offense is not going to produce as many runs. Taking players that are on better offenses compared to a worse team, or a player of the same caliber, same draft range on a worse offense, I would significantly always take the player on the better offense, just because that obviously is going to give him more runs, more RBI opportunities, just more of everything, more opportunity in general. So that's something, if you're deciding between 2 players at the same, let's say if it's Joe Adell and Andy Pages. Joe Adell is probably the better player overall, but Andy Pages is going to get so much more opportunity on the Dodgers because they are the best offense in baseball. So it's 2 ways to look at it. You think Joe Adell is going to be that great, but when it comes to a draft tiebreaker and I'm looking for an outfielder, I'm choosing between those 2 guys, I'm probably going to lean Andy Pages just because he's going to have more opportunity.
Yeah, and that's all you're looking for, especially when you're looking at those like outfielders. Like outfielders, there's a ton of them that you can pick from, but the main thing is looking at the guy that has the most opportunity. Opportunities pay off way more in the end, and it's all about points. Like whatever team you think, or whatever player you think will have the most amount of points on said team, go with that, because if that team's just overall better, that player will overall be better in fantasy. That's usually how it works out.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're wondering who you guys should be drafting around this time, if you're not sure who to target, we do have a playlist on our channel. We are currently going through every single position of 5 players you need to target for every single position on your team. So definitely go check that playlist out, and you can get 5-6 players for every single position, and who to target. And that's going to kind of segue into my last point is that you cannot overplan. As cringy as it is, as much you want to sit there before the draft and try to plan it out, whenever you find out what your draft order is, if you're pick 1, for example, right, you're going to take Ohtani number 1, but you're going to have pick 1, pick 24, pick 25, pick 48, pick 49. So it's like, your numbers of picks. You can go into a mock draft lobby, you can go look at rankings, and you can kind of see those players that are going around those picks, and you can kind of plan, okay, like I want to get Ohtani here, so there's my DH spot, he's filled. And then I know later in the draft, okay, 25, 26, I don't have the rankings in front of me, but let's say if it's like Jackson Merrill, Jackson Churio, those type of people in that range, you can go outfielder maybe. And then okay, my outfield DH is set. You can kind of plan it out. Obviously, stuff changes, you're going to have to adapt, but I like having 4 or 5 players at every pick around there that I know if they're there, I'm gonna take him.
100%. And it also just helps with the peace of mind of it, especially if you have like a couple drafts going around the same time. Just being prepared helps you with so many things. And like I said, you don't want to be that guy that takes up the whole time. It's just, especially if you have like a longer draft timer, that's just rough.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, seriously, like do as many mock drafts, especially if you're a beginner. Like I still do them all the time. I love doing mock drafts.
Religiously.
Just because seeing whatever player falls to you is so different almost every time. So it's really cool because sometimes your plans can go out of whack. So you just want to be prepared for what could happen. And that's kind of what mock drafts do. They kind of just give you a chance to, pick your spot. So you can be very specific with it. Sometimes if I'm like pick 7, I'll do one with pick 7 and then one with pick 9, or one just random as much as I can, just so I can see who's falling or who's going at what position, and like I can get an idea of what people are gonna do.
Definitely. And that's about all the points we have, but I do want to say we are interested in doing a community fantasy league. So if you are interested,
100%.
Watcher, you're a viewer of the video, and you want to join a fantasy league with both of us, we can create one. Prizes for first, second, third place are still being determined, but if you want to join, let us know in the comments, send us a message, and you'll get added to it. First 10 that comment and are actually interested, we'll add you to a league.
100%.
Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, use Underdog for all of your bets. Use code 9Penance if you are new. Thank you guys for watching. If there's anything else you guys want to see, if you have any specific draft questions, let us know in the comments. We'll respond to all of them. Thank you guys. We'll see you in the next one.